language has evolved dramatically from the time of Shakespeare's iconic these and thous to Gen Alpha's notorious skibbity and riz. According to a Words Rated article published November 28, 2023, every day you hear about 20,000 to 30,000 words. Some can be traced back to Old English origins, while others are fairly new, like slang. Without a doubt, I know that a significant fraction of the slang words people hear aren't the most logical or make much sense at all, like mewing and phantom tax. However, an excessive amount of slang words isn't beneficial for a person's vocabulary. Although English is an evolving language, if action isn't taken to minimize slang, humans will slowly be unable to express their thoughts and emotions as eloquently as before. So today, let's take a deeper look into how our language has gone from filling classics like Little Women to just simply being a jumble of meaningless words. Next, we will see the negative effects lack of clear communication can have on people. And finally, we will explore solutions to this issue of colloquial language being used over proper formal terms. I'm used to hearing slang often, from the moment I walk in the room where I wrote the speech to when my brother talks about how Sigma he is. Trust me, he isn't. But overall, I feel that these words are simply used too much. An article published March 30, 2023 from Big Think explains that the English language is constantly changing, from Old English to Middle English to Late Middle English to the language we know today. Although linguists insist that the actual process is more complex, it appears English became more simplified as time went on, the article states. To ensure that this doesn't continue, we should reduce the amount of slang in order for English to flourish long into the future. But first, why do we use slang? An extract from the concise Oxford Companion to the English language states, the aim of using slang is seldom the exchange of information. More often, slang serves social purposes, to identify members of a group, to change the level of discourse in the direction of informality, and to oppose established authority. Sharing and maintaining a constantly changing slang vocabulary aids group solidarity and serves to include and exclude members. This can harm communication within groups of people, as one of the key purposes of slang is to forge a bond between certain people, and in the process, some are shunned away. It doesn't help that slang and simplified language is widely accepted amongst society and is used even more commonly than their actual complex meaning. Journalist Tim Brinkoff writes, abbreviations like LOL and OMG are already being used as frequently, if not more frequently, than the phrases they abbreviate, namely laughing out loud and oh my god. This only shows that our society, specifically our generation, is taking away the beauty of the English language and replacing extravagant words with simplified knockoff versions. The problem is only growing as time passes by, with linguists even predicting that the language could die out 1,000 years from now, a new lingua franca taking its place. If English continues to simplify, we will not only lose the main way we communicate with those of different languages, but we will also have forever lost the millions of years of culture and history put into the language. But no big deal, it's only a language. But just think about the one being most affected by these impactful changes. Duo. English becoming an extinct language isn't worth Duolingo sending you death threats through your notifications. All jokes aside, slang can have harmful impacts on those who speak and hear it. First and foremost, slang is unprofessional language, and thus isn't appropriate to use in a professional or business setting, and especially if written. Editor-in-chief of the Daily Latest, Gurjeet Singh, wrote, over time, individuals who heavily rely on slang might find it challenging to express themselves effectively in more formal or nuanced situations. He also states, in professional settings, the use of internet slang can be perceived as unprofessional and may negatively affect one's professional image. It is crucial to understand the appropriate context for different forms of language. Recently, a Grammarly ad displayed an employee about to send his boss an email saying, "Bet I thought the same thing," before receiving assistance from another Grammarly user. Emails just like this are a result of oversimplifying your language and lack of a formal tone. Secondly, slang can form communication barriers between different groups of people. An extract from the Daily Latest reads, "Internet slang is often specific to certain online communities and may not be universally understood." This can create divides between generations or different cultural groups, hindering effective communication. Since slang can have various different meanings, it can cause confusion and possibly offend your readers who aren't familiar with the specific slang used. I personally feel that Gurjit Singh could not have put it better when he states, "Every generation contributes to language evolution, but an over-reliance on internet slang may result in a loss of the richness and diversity of the language." As a first-generation Indian American, I have constantly been exposed to my native languages, Hindi and Odia. However, English was my first language. My parents wanted to ensure that I would be able to communicate my basic necessities with other people when I went to daycare. Although this helped me in the long run, I lost the ability to speak fluently in my native languages, and this hurt me. I could understand every word my parents spoke and speak a few sentences, but I wasn't able to express all my thoughts. I value every aspect of my Indian culture, so if anything were to happen to cause my native languages to not be existent in the future, I would be devastated. Similarly, English isn't only part of the culture of its native speakers, but the entire world. As our lingua franca, it bridges the communication gap between speakers and is part of the bond that brings people of various social classes, countries, cultures, and backgrounds together. So from words like sick and sick, we can clearly see how the English language has changed over time. So now, let's talk about some of the 6 solutions that you can use to prevent our language from losing its natural beauty. To start, you can always keep in mind to use the right language in the right situation. A Small Business Trends article from October 26, 2021 explains that oftentimes students and even workers use slang in their emails or writing. This isn't appropriate for school or work and therefore is preferred not to be used. Deciding the language you use based on the scenario will help you avoid informality in environments that require a more formal tone. In summary, simply thinking before deciding the language you will use can go a long way. Next, embrace the diversity of the English language. According to the Kinney Brothers Publishing, English has gone through several major changes and epochs, from the Old English era to late modern English. One of the interesting things about our language is that it can trace roots back to different languages, such as French, Latin, Greek, and German. Every generation adds more to the English vocabulary. So who knows? Maybe words like skibbity and riz will be the next generation's thee and thou. Only time will tell. Thank you.